Hi everyone, welcome to a special pre-election episode of The Point, all about the intersection of social media and politics. I'm your guest host, Samantha Shocker. I'm a host and producer. I'm also a friend of the TYT family as I host Pop Trigger and have also appeared on TYT University's Common Room. And I'm really excited to delve into this topic today because social media is extremely relevant in this election, more so now than ever. I think it's safe to say that we're all on the internet, that many of us are active on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. So now more than ever is social media a vital part of the political process. Also, a large number of us do participate in within social media politically. And if you don't partake in it, if you don't have the stomach for it, you're certainly witness to it as soon as you log on to your Twitter or Facebook accounts and are bombarded by political posts, which sometimes can feel like a punch in the face if it's in the exact opposition of your own views, or if what they're saying is not based on facts, which is infuriating. But what I find the most empowering part of social media is that now political campaigns are not entirely reliant on the televised speeches and debates or the endorsements of magazines and newspapers and celebrities to rally voters. We, supporters, as well as the candidates, can instantaneously spread a message to voters. And we can also go out there and try to inspire and motivate people to educate themselves, to get out there and vote. So it's exceptional, it's empowering, and this is something that we could not do 10 years ago, and it's more relevant now than ever. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our panelists. Robert Link is an LA-based attorney with a concentration in internet new media law. He also writes the Tech Tip column for LA Progressive magazine. Welcome. We also have Lisa Claypure. She is one of the original organizers and media producer for Occupy LA, the Los Angeles branch of the Occupy Wall Street protest. She's also a live broadcast transmedia producer, as well as the host of peoplesmic.org, an online town hall forum to be held before the upcoming presidential election. What exactly does a transmedia producer do?
It encompasses all the areas of media, both old paradigm, which would include print, and all of the evolutions of media, and now we have social media, and we're even going to next levels because technology is giving us that ability. So this is a perfect panel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And also, we have one of our own, Malcolm Fleschner. He's the executive producer of YouTube's most popular panel discussion show, Right Here, The Point. He's filling in as a last-minute replacement for a panelist who had to cancel. But as an online video producer and political panel discussion show, on this political panel discussion show, he must know a great deal about social media and politics. Right, Malcolm?
Social media, you said? I'm here to learn. I'm just here to learn.
All right, this should be interesting, very interesting. We have three interesting points relating to social media for this week's show. Later on, we're going to hear from BJ Mendelsohn. He is the author of Social Media is Bullshit, who says there's more hype than truth to the story about what an impact social media has made in creating social change. And we're also going to take a look at your social network feeds and ask if there's any way to keep your Facebook and Twitter pages from being overrun by those profanity-laced rants that we're all familiar with. Ones that you obviously don't agree with. So we're going to get started, though, to talk about the ongoing battle between SOPA, PIPA, CISPA, and ACTA, and whether powerful corporate interests in America will just keep throwing out different letter combinations, different acronyms at us in order to gain control over the internet. And to help us, we have our very first point video from Personal Democracy, media founder Andrew Ruscha. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Andrew Ruscha, and I'm the founder of Personal Democracy Media and the chairman of New York Tech Meetup. My point is that there can be no such thing as an open internet unless there is first an open democracy. Our political system will not accept the idea of an open internet because it's a direct threat to its power. Many activists who were involved in the recent and successful battle to stop the anti-piracy legislation known as SOPA and PIPA correctly realized that incumbent forces conspired with elected leaders to write self-serving rules for how the internet will work. Some of them have now started a movement to gain support for something known as the Declaration of Internet Freedom. And even though it's noble in its cause, if internet freedom becomes an issue, it will stand next to immigration, education, environmentalism, and other issues fighting for attention inside Congress. If you really want to have an open internet, you have to fight first for an open democracy where the open internet is a byproduct rather than just a tool for fixing democracy itself. Our political system and politicians have subverted the idea of a truly open internet with such archaic practices as gerrymandering, unlimited campaign contributions, voter suppression efforts, not to mention the continued use of the Electoral College, closed primaries, and voting only on Tuesdays. And with the recent ruling by the Supreme Court called Citizens United, unlimited and non-transparent campaign spending by corporations has made the situation even worse. So my message to the internet public and to people everywhere for whom the internet is central to their emotional, spiritual, and economic lives is to put down your calls for action for keeping the internet open and instead join the fight to fix democracy first. Only then will it be possible to have a truly open internet where freedom of speech and freedom to connect will be recognized as a benefit rather than a threat to our political system. And if you want to know more about this topic and take responsibility for our democracy, visit the Sunlight Foundation online or follow me at Richer. Thank you.
That was really interesting. I want to start with Lisa. Do you agree with Richer in the fact that we cannot win the fight for an open internet until we've actually won the fight for an open democracy?
I think that an open, fair, and just governance ensures an open internet. So I think that he is correct in that. That we really, our priorities need to be on what's going on that's allowing this control to happen, or this attempt at control.
Malcolm, do you agree with Richer's argument?
You know, I do. I mean, I think he's right, absolutely, that the open internet would be an outcome of creating open democracy, but these are things that are achievable, at least. That I mean, we actually had wins. These were victories to a degree, and achieving an open democracy and what he talks about with getting money out of politics and all that is a much bigger nut to conquer. And so the question is whether you can persuade people in these various silos of immigration and fighting for net neutrality and fighting for the environment to sort of set those things aside. Because he's not just saying the people who are active opposing CISPA and ACTA, and he's saying everybody needs to put aside their pet project and we all need to work together on this one goal. And that's a tough one to persuade people of, I think.
Right, I agree with that. What were your feelings when you watched the video?
My positions regarding the internet and democracy are actually further along a spectrum than the video.
Oh, I'd like to hear it.
To make the point, can you register? So S-O, sorry about the tilt, guys. I didn't practice this at home like I should have. When I was in 6th grade, I read the biography of Eric Weiss. C-I-A. Oh.
L.
L. Singular.
Medium.
This is a social medium. It is probably the most valuable educational tool known to man after television and radio and the telephone. I'm not going to bust into Gershwin here. Some of the conversations we're having are so completely irrelevant to the technology that's available right now that it's beyond the politics of the next 20 however many days. And please let these days go by smooth and fast.
Your blood pressure is rising by the moment.
Yeah, actually, she can see it. I'm probably blushing for the camera.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a throb there.
I can relate.
Yeah.
The reason that I connect with the gentleman in the video is that I'm an old-fashioned science fiction fan and a new-fashioned, apparently futurist. And a lot of what we're arguing about is simply irrelevant to the technology of the day.
With what you said, touching on some of these different bills, what is the difference, within these different bills, and who's behind these efforts to undermine the open nature of the internet, and why are these individuals doing this?
Well, I think first of all, I mean, what he points out is that they're going to keep coming. We've had these victories, but they're not going to stop.
They just rewrite them in
different
jargon, give it another acronym.
They reach into the Scrabble bag and get 4 more or 5 more Scrabble tiles.
You can get a new Twitter handle with it.
Which, by the way, is the way that our legal system's supposed to work. You get as many bites at the apple as you can afford, and in theory, we reject the bad apples. That's supposed to be the way the system works. So I have no qualms about the same bad actors, if they are such, doing the same thing again and again, as long as the system keeps rebuffing them until they actually make it right.
However, though, some voters aren't going to be as educated when they
There are educated voters?
I know, right? They're not going to really understand that this bill wasn't necessarily, they think that it was improved. When in reality, like you said, it's just more reworked and it maybe has more loopholes and is confusing. And to try and get that bill passed in hopes that certain voters aren't going to educate themselves on the difference is really scary, to say the least.
So the question I have for folks like you doing shows like this is how best can each individual, whether it be Occupy. There was an O in there somewhere. Whether it be Occupy, National, Global, LA, Municipal, or it be a show like this, how do you better reach people? Because as we get more and more brute force processing power in our computers, human relationships become more, not less important. And that's why I came here today. Someone said, hey, I don't know, here I am.
For one, I think that people need to take a moment and they need to educate themselves on the different bills, whether you have to go to Wikipedia or whatnot. And number two, what's interesting to me is what exactly, I feel like certain people don't understand how big of an impact these bills can have if they pass. So my question to you would be, how do you see the average internet user's experience change if these bills were to pass?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of just what happens when they promote these bills, and I'm just going to use SOPA. It's to stop the online piracy. It would make it a felony to stream pirated material, okay?
So if you're on YouTube, you're going to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
If you watch a video,
no tips, no games, no sports highlights. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the official title, now remember what I just said, to promote prosperity, creativity, entrepreneurship, and innovation by combating the theft of U.S. property.
Did you say USA Patriot?
Well, but I mean, like, if you have a Facebook page with a photo of you wearing a TYT T-shirt, which you should until they pass this law, in which case, then we can come after you for copyright infringement, and we will.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's outlandish.
Yeah.
And they can come and take down your Twitter page or your Facebook page.
And you can't even go to court and defend yourself. And what's scary too, if you're an owner of a small business and some of your employees are going on the internet, they will then risk your business's website from being shutting down as well.
Yeah.
Which is, it's unconstitutional. It's not fair and it's not right.
Right. It's violating the constitutional rights of the American citizens when our government goes to other countries to promote this. But yet here on our own land, we're fighting it.
Right. But what about his larger point? Because this is, I mean, he's saying, you know, we can discuss this all we want, and it's a legitimate issue, but we shouldn't focus on it. And I admit that when I think about, you know, winning the SOPA-PIPA battle, and you know, and even if we win these, I get sick of these progressive victories, where when progressives win, it's maintaining the status quo. You know, it means they don't open up drilling in Anwar, or you know, they don't erode all the collective bargaining rights. It's just if we can, you know, just hold on to ground we've got already. That's supposed to be a big win. And I'm inspired by what he says, because at least that's saying, let's move forward. Let's get a win that advances the ball, that moves us closer to what we want.
Let's fight for the open democracy, and then the internet will follow, which goes on to my next question. If powerful new media companies such as Google and Facebook, which we've seen have helped the fight against SOPA and PIPA, is it possible that they can also be brought on board to pursue what you were stating, what Ruche was stating, and go after the larger policy goals as well?
Or do you think that they could end up supporting the corporate interests?
Because I mean, they were supportive of the battle against SOPA and PIPA initially, but then the legislators went and rewrote the law for CISPA, and so now Facebook supports CISPA.
It's against their interests, and it's yeah.
And I'd like to maybe add a layer to that. I think part of the reason the conversation happens is that Google in particular is considered in the realm, as Tim Wu would say, disruptive technology. But it's 2012. Yeah, Google was disruptive technology when Alta Vista was the cool search engine, and it was. But that's a long time ago. And so now Google is the man. And you can't do that. Well, but it's true. I mean, because there's a question of why do we bother doing things in meat space when we have all of this, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, do you know what Lucille Ball would have given for your setup?
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I can't say that I know
She
what
probably
Lucille
couldn't
Ball.
have got it, right?
For those of you watching, Lucille Ball was a TV from 1950.
Excellent.
Check her out on YouTube.
Check her out on
love
YouTube.
Lizzie.
A Google product, I believe.
But I think what I'm interested in, I'd like to know what you guys have to say about this, is what he's suggesting is that, for example, environmentalists need to stop chaining themselves to tree or climbing up into trees and saying you're not going to cut this down,
Right.
come down from the trees and go and fight against voter suppression.
Yes.
And
Yes.
fight for a constitutional amendment like wolfpack.com, I don't know if anybody, wolf-pack.com, which is to create a constitutional amendment to get money out of politics and to end the
Campaign finance
finance
reform.
reform. And while I'm sure environmentalists and immigration activists and the like all are in favor of these things for the most part, it's not their pet issue. And so the question is whether he's being realistic in saying that I want you to give all that up and fight for, come join me and my battle. And do you think that's likely? Do you think people are going to do that or willing to do that?
When people have their pet issues, though, a majority of the people, they're very passionate with their pet issues. And unfortunately, sometimes you need to look outside the box and see it as a bigger issue at hand. I agree with Ruche. I think that we all should rally on some of the bigger, larger policy issues, and then some of those smaller issues will hopefully follow suit.
Right, that's his argument. It's like you don't need to fight for an open internet, you need to fight for open democracy, then you get the open internet.
And the open internet comes with it, absolutely.
And I always tell people, fight for what you're passionate about. Start there, and how does that affect your online access? Because you're only going to do what really touches your heart. And so do what you're passionate about and support your community first, and results actually do happen.
Now that one, results actually do happen. If you show up for work every day, whatever your work is, and you do your work every day, at the end of the day you'll feel better, and at the end of a week you'll have accomplished a little more, and that's a human value that gets lost. There's a time when the Democrats could carry an election because they could do door to door and make that human connection. I don't
no
know.
longer exists.
But I don't know that maybe it shouldn't. Maybe that's what should be happening is, in addition to doing something like this, each of us should get a couple of people and go out like certain religious groups I know, right? And on a Saturday.
And really evoke change. Try to at least.
No, engage with, find the like-minded people and engage them.
It's
Find
about
the like-minded
cooperation
people and
and
engage
collaboration.
them.
I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
that's
we're going to
okay.
take a brief break. Please, during our break, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. For our next segment, we are going to toss it to a video sent to us by BJ Mendelsohn about whether social media is a driving force behind social change. Let's take a look.
Hey, my name is BJ Mendelsohn. I'm the author of Social Media is Bullshit. I'm talking to you from my lovely dorm room on the campus of SUNY Potsdam. Wonderful college. My point today is to talk to you about the influence of social media on the elections. I don't believe that it can really turn people to get out and vote, to make donations, or really do much of anything. Because really what we're talking about is a reflection. What people post on Twitter and Facebook are already what they think and what they're doing anyway. But we've allowed people to go and twist that and say, well, you can make a difference. That's a nice idea, but there's no proof that it works. And so I want you guys to talk a little bit about that and let me know if you agree or not. And if you want to learn more about Social Media is Bullshit, you can go to socialmediaisbullshit.com or follow me on Twitter. I know it sounds really ironic until you read the book, at BJ Mendelsohn, and that makes a lot of sense.
Very interesting. I want to start with you, Robert. We definitely hear there's a great deal of hype, for one, about how powerful social media is, and people say that it's everything from the driving force within commerce to achieving revolution in the Middle East. Do you think that social media is bullshit?
I think it's a mistake to talk about social media as a monolithic single thing. And if you do, it makes for snappy titles, but not necessarily clear, cogent thought about what we're dealing with. I'm kind of looking at now an underlayer of why I think this conversation's happening. I think that the Romney campaign being on Pinterest is like white boys sagging. That's what I think about social media, and I think that's the sense in which this young man's probably saying social media is bullshit.
So you're saying
the fact that Hannah Romney finally discovered the flippin' internet is not really newsworthy, and that doesn't make Pinterest newsworthy per se.
He's the online equivalent of a Wigga, is that what you're saying?
I don't know what a Wigga is, but oh well. I'll look that up later. It's not a pedo bear, I hope.
Okay. It's on the Urban Dictionary, you'll see it. What about different social media? It's different. You point out that it's different depending on what you're talking about.
I have a different perception. Okay. I do agree with BJ in that it is a reflection. It doesn't initiate action. In all cases, unless there's already a group of people following or being interested, as in Occupy. Of course, social media was very effective in a lot of ways, so you can't say it's not effective. Right. But I can say that I really hate those Obama emails wanting to sell me a mug for $3. And so I think
they're giving you a mug for it. They're not just giving you with a head.
I think it's it is bullshit in a lot of regard. But at the core of all of this, of all the issues, is that it's an electronic resource that is not being tapped, it's not regulated, it's not a common carrier like the telephone communications, and so it's a resource that is just trying to be harnessed, just like our non-renewable natural resources. So that's really what's at the core of it, is just follow the money.
Do you agree with that, Malcolm?
I think I agree with BJ that there's much too much hype, and I just think that like Twitter brought revolution to Tunisia is a little, it simplifies it dramatically. And what you're talking about is it's a tool that can be used, but it's not going to create social change. It's
definitely a tool, but it's not going to drive it.
And I read that Malcolm Gladwell wrote an article in the New Yorker about this a couple of years ago, about how that he agreed with BJ that it, and one of the points that he made is that on Twitter and Facebook you have very loose connections, and what causes social change to happen are strong connections and bonds between people where
trustworthy connections.
Where people you trust who are engaged in actions that motivate you. I mean, I don't know, have any of you, I mean, well, I don't know, you may be different, but most people I think don't, they'll see somebody is involved in something, and they post at Facebook that they are getting involved in something, and it's like, oh, it's nice for them, and then they move on to the next post.
But I think people consider the source on that. I mean, they know the person or of the person, and so I think that's just going to be common with the situation at hand. But I think we're also underestimating the fact that technology, we're not going to be where we are today in 10 years.
Right.
And even what we have today, I think what people are yearning for ultimately in the social media is collaboration and cooperation, and we just haven't quite gotten there yet. We've had facets of it with Facebook and Twitter, and I think the technology is going to catch up with that.
It really isn't a matter whether or not Twitter itself per se is a strong connection or a weak connection, so long as it serves to enable effective connections. And the best of my knowledge, it absolutely did that at a brief moment in history in a super saturated solution where all of these incredibly strong ties were waiting for an opportunity to actually mobilize. Now, maybe we've got that here in the next 21 days, and we can send someone to the White House who knows there's only one U in nuclear. But I think Mr. Gladwell may have missed a beat on that one.
What I find that was really interesting, just through my own experience with Facebook and Twitter, and I'm interested to see what some of the viewers feel as well, but when I was on Facebook, especially last March during Super Tuesday, I found that Facebook used a lot of targeted demographic campaigns, where I should go in Hollywood, and I thought that was really interesting. And also, I have a friend in Washington who I was talking to just last night, actually, that said that she was able to, and I believe this is the only state that allows it, but she was able to register to vote via Facebook.
One of the things that I think is that social media can do, Facebook and Twitter, as we said, it's a tool, and it's a way of making personal connections that are stronger. There are some strong bonds on Facebook. If you can only have 20 or 30 people on Facebook, on your Facebook friends, then they wouldn't be social loose connections. But generally speaking, that you don't get much activity in terms of motivating you, because what we're talking about, going out to an Occupy protest or whatever it is, you're asking people to take a lot of time out of their day. There are risks involved. You might get arrested. It's a huge inconvenience. And just having somebody post to Twitter or Facebook that I'm doing this or you should do this, it's not gonna. There are no consequences if you don't. You're like, you can just skip it. But when someone contacts you who is a trusted friend or someone you really respect, and they say, hey, listen, or even if they send you a message on Facebook, they say, look, I'm going to this thing and you should go too. Will you go? That puts more pressure on you to take a stand.
It does put more pressure, but it does. There is a power of a photograph when you see in your Facebook feed one of your friends showing that they were actually trying to create change on their own by attending a lot of these, the Occupy LA movement or any of the Occupy movements. And so yes, it's less pressure because you're not having a face-to-face discussion about it, or you're not actually being invited personally. But I think it's powerful. I do. I see some of my friends going out and doing it, and it does inspire me. And it does motivate me to also go out there and try to create change.
What I tell everybody is to pick something that you're passionate about, something that affects you and your life and your family and your community, and show up. Just show up and gift whatever it is, talent, time, everybody, it's different.
Witness.
Yeah, you just show up. Showing up, and especially when people that you love, because that's generally what's going to happen when it's something that you're passionate about, are already involved. You want to be involved because you want to fix what's wrong. And so people think that it's this large issue and it's overwhelming to show up, but it's actually not.
I agree with you.
Fix what's broken in your own backyard.
Absolutely.
What about, this is my question though, is that don't various social media platforms and the internet in general encourage this sort of phony activism of just, hey, like my Facebook page, or like this, or retweet this. You can buy likes, or even the internet. You can sign petitions on the internet. But it gives people the sense that they are involved. Or, hey, I'm doing something. I'm signing an internet petition, which is has that ever?
But sometimes
done
you feel
anything?
you feel like it's the bare minimum.
Well, it's less than the bare minimum.
But at least it's something.
Better than something.
It's better than nothing.
But is it because it gives you a sense that you've done something when you haven't? When you've done virtually nothing, but you get the sense, hey, I'm involved. I like that Facebook page. That sort of absolves me of any more responsibility. Well, you know what? Those tsunami, were victims.
It is more than that. It's about showing up and gifting what you have to offer, and that's where the genuine fulfillment comes from too.
That's where you make these things work. If it's social. If you're seeing your friends and loved ones and you're hearing how their perm went wrong or their kid got out of school, I mean, if it's truly social and it's truly connected, you can use Usenet. You can use postcards. You can use Zen virtual machine instance.
You can't use postcards. I'm sorry, you just can't use postcards.
You can use post-its.
Apparently.
I'm
this is a perfect example of transmedia. We got
transmedia.
Transmedia.
This is
on the internet.
Transmedia basically means beyond media, but it involves all forms, which we were just saying at the break how you got your first love note on
there
one
you
of those.
go. What do you? What impact do you feel?
Flower. I'm glad that you caught that.
There's no heart, just a flower. What do you?
I don't know you that well yet.
What do you guys feel? Do you think that social media has had what's the impact that it's causing within the presidential elections?
I think it's causing more polarity and more divisiveness. I don't like the hostility that pours out because
that's our
we're
next
so
topic.
precious with our time.
Censor yourself a little bit because we are going to dive into that. I do think that it's interesting that people can say that just by following certain hashtags or trends that you can predict who the presidential candidate will be, but at the same token, no, we couldn't even get the Academy award-winning movies accurate based on doing that same thing within Twitter. So
here's one huge impact, huge difference nowadays compared to 10, 20 years ago is that the snark factor is way up. Thanks to Twitter and Facebook. I mean, everybody can be a comedian, everybody can be super snarky, anyone can create a hashtag, anyone can create a Twitter feed of, was it a round binder full of women?
Yes. Or how many times Big Bird, when I was reading my tweets last night as I was watching the presidential debate, Big Bird was brought up constantly.
But I have the same question. Does that do the same thing that it makes people feel they're participating on some level because they're making obnoxious comments online?
But at least they're interacting. At least they're watching.
Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing because it makes them feel like they're doing enough? Like, well, I'm going to make fun of Mitt Romney.
Depends on whether it's a gateway for more than a dissipation for more. If it's statistically a gateway to engaged participation for a larger number than it is a dissipation, then it's a net plus to the society overall. And that's the only way to measure it. And that gets back to the guy that was asking for measures. I mean, we've got, the Lancet report about the war and stuff like that, and you can argue indefinitely. But in terms of solving the problem of better participation in our government, if poking my friends on Facebook gets one more person to the polls, Republican, Libertarian, I don't care.
Poking people on Facebook is going to get you unfriended on Facebook.
Not necessarily. We're going to take a brief break, and please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. We want to hear what you have to say, and we'll be right back. For our final point, a really fun discussion, I have a feeling, is in regard to somebody that we can all relate to. It's either that annoying brother-in-law, your ex-flame, a friend, a neighbor, somebody that you chose to friend on Facebook, only to find out that now, when you log on to Facebook and Twitter, that your feed is overwhelmed by their angry, sometimes unapologetic, ignorant rants. There's no fact-checking going on. We all know how infuriating that is. And within this highly charged political season, people's Facebook and Twitter feeds are, you can say, the online version of battleground states. So what I find offensive is just how people continue to not only make this about politics, but you see personal slurs flying. We have people, a high number of people that are blocking people, they're unfriending people. You even see personal relationships that have ended. So that's what we're going to talk about. What's to be done about this phenomenon? Can people online disagree without being disagreeable? And is unfriending the only option? So one possible solution that I want to, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but it comes from a gentleman named Kevin Fowle, who is a VP of product management at a company called Real D. He created a Chrome extension called Nopal. Have you guys heard about this? It allows you to, you're shaking your head, Malcolm, it allows you to enter in the keywords that you want to block from your Facebook feed. So you can enter in Biden, you can enter in Obama, you can enter in Romney, election, Ryan, and it seems to be working pretty well. But let's start talking about this phenomenon of bitter political invective dominating social media. Okay, so are we ready to dive into this? Malcolm, I'm going to start with you.
I'm over here.
Oh, Malcolm.
You like him better.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so why do you think, Malcolm, people actually do this?
I don't know. I find it interesting because there's it's just about politics. There's a lot of stuff on Facebook, but
it gets really heated.
But nobody posts like a photo of their baby and says cute, and somebody else is like, you call that a cute baby? That baby's ugly. Yes. You and your ugly baby should go back to Kenya, or whatever. So it's just about politics. Or somebody posts a picture of their food and like, you call that eggplant parmesan? That's crap. I mean, it's just about politics. So for some reason, people feel the need to correct each other.
It gets personal
when they're wrong about, when they think they're wrong about politics, not about other things. But yeah, it gets very personal very quickly. It's remarkable how quickly it can just be, and it doesn't even have to be, the original post doesn't have to be about politics. There can be like, you have two Facebook friends who tend to go at it, and it's like, hey, take it somewhere else. I just wanted to talk, post a photo of the sunset, and all of a sudden you guys are talking about how Romney's a Nazi.
It's crazy. It's true. It's, do you guys, what are some of your experiences? I'm sure there's far too many to talk about.
I actually haven't had much because the people I friend are like-minded enough, but I see it. Social means two-way. If it's not two-way, then it's, you're selling me something.
Right. But do you think that this would be different if people were having, do you think it would get as heated and there would be as much profanity if people were talking about it face-to-face as opposed to hiding behind the computers and talking about it on Facebook or Twitter?
The personal people that I know who actually, if you actually know the people on an intimate level, it's more they're doing it as a form of entertainment. The few people I know who go rant, they like
drama.
It's or being the devil's advocate to make people talk about it. So sometimes it isn't because they're naive or ignorant. Sometimes it's intentional because they do want to start raising the questions and the issues.
Trolls! Don't feed them.
That's okay if you have a discussion, but to actually lend personal slurs about the person. I mean, I've witnessed some of these really crazy heated debates on my Facebook or just the general feed, and it's toxic.
The only people
we talked about this earlier. You
don't even toxic and point at me.
you said earlier that it's even hard for you to follow the debates because it's
absolutely because it's so easy to see through most of it, and it is such a sham. But that doesn't mean that you should give up.
Right.
I mean, the bottom line is we've all got a finite number of heartbeats. We're going to spend them on things we like. We're going to spend them on things we don't like. But we have some control. So put your energy into the things you like.
But
like you say, show up.
But has somebody actually been, in your experience, been persuaded to change their minds on a political issue or a candidate?
No, but I beat a few people down.
Okay, but they haven't actually changed their minds.
Let me address that, because as a lawyer, I'm probably closer to understanding why and what the difference is. In law, we have judges and we have people with guns, and we have rooms with bars. And when you lose, if you lose bad enough, all of those things will happen to you. On Facebook, if you're a clown and a buffoon,
why are you looking at me?
sorry, man, I meant him. If you're a clown,
Oh yeah, you're Malcolm. That's right.
if you're a clown and a buffoon, there's nothing to stop you, and you can do it all the rest of your heartbeats. But I don't have those heartbeats, so when I get around people like that, I usually bug out. But I do understand that there's a huge emotional impact. There's still people who are turning on their first computer, bringing home their first computer, right? And those are the people that are still sending out internet hoaxes and still sending out internet jokes and having these flame wars, and you got to let them get through it. I don't know anything else to do except.
Well, you know, it is interesting because you could look upon this as an educational thing, but not educational like I'm going to learn about their opinions, but educational about your friends. Like, okay,
Absolutely.
turns out this guy's kind of a prick.
I don't think you would find. Yeah, I don't think you would find out otherwise.
Yeah, without the thank God for the internet, now I know that this guy is not worth my time.
Absolutely.
There have been
I
some
would
amazing,
prefer, if at all possible,
discoveries.
to reach a point where when I'm a prick, because I can be,
No.
my friends love me and forgive me because the medium has that slack and flexibility built into it, right?
This is a very interesting topic to me personally because
So what do you do?
I have been an offender in the past, and I now wipe my hands clean of it. The previous election, I did have not only emails sent to me that here's the thing. I am more than open to accepting other people's beliefs and having a respectable debate about the issues and where you stand. I respect you, where I stand, respect me. Where I get really frustrated is when people are being irresponsible by passing on information that just simply is not true. There is a way to check your facts before you take on the responsibility of spreading them out there and then getting defensive when people prove you wrong. So the previous election, I would spend way too many hours at night when I should have been sleeping debunking a lot of these emails and Facebook posts, and these people never changed. They continued to send these emails that were completely based on lies, and I realized that it was making me sick, so I stopped.
And if they hook you, they win.
And now Obama's going to lose because of you.
I know! I need to get back into it and lose sleep again and drink espresso shots and try and debunk every single email that's sent my way.
It's easy to get into that, but again, I mentioned Suzette Elgin's Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense books, and they're probably the best you can do for the election on either side to help make sure that people on the other side aren't sliding stuff in on you. There is such a thing as engaged, legitimate academic discourse and dialectic in which two sides actually try to get smarter and do better. And then there's Facebook.
Yeah. Well, so what do you do? That's the question. What do you do? Do you unfollow people?
That's a really good question.
I don't block people. What do you do?
I would unfollow someone if what they were stating was completely based off hate and personal attacks. I don't want to be a part of that, and I'm actually seeing a nice peek into your inner character, and I no longer like you as a person. I'm sorry, but if it's if someone is just continually to repeat some ignorant views, if they're not necessarily hateful, but they're just more ignorant, I'll just ignore it. I mean, especially if it's a family member, you can't delete your family members on Facebook. So I think, what do you guys do?
The only people I've ever unfriended are people who've been unkind bullies. The people who just completely at its core.
Right. Get rid of them.
Yeah, just not being fair, and yeah, that's the only. And it's not been many, but that's the only ones.
Would you block someone on Twitter if you didn't agree with a lot of their posts?
No. If they were a jerk, whether I agree or not. But just for look, if Mr. Romney wins. If Mr. Romney wins, I'm a good American, and I'm going to be doing my best to help him succeed. I'm going to also hold his feet to the fire, but that's true of whoever gets that job.
You won't block him on Twitter.
I would not block him on Twitter. No.
Well, see, now this is what I do generally is because I'm a hypocrite. Because in the last segment I said that some people post snarky stuff on Twitter, and that's absolutely what I do, political snarky. And occasionally I will get a response back from someone that's obnoxious or hostile or whatever. So someone I don't know.
How do you handle it? What's the etiquette?
Well, it's almost always a guy. Let's be honest. And what I usually do is I'm snarky back to him, and I say,
LOL,
and then,
which is such a
thanks,
bunch of shit.
Thanks so much for your interest. I really appreciate it. Any retweets you want. And then they'll get more invective back. And then usually what I do is I engage and I say, why are you so interested in what I think? What do you care? And then that's when I imply that they're gay. So I'll say, listen, I mean,
That's not offensive.
I don't say there's
sometimes.
anything wrong with it. I say,
Right.
I didn't understand. I see.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm flattered.
Right. Do you think
But I'm
that?
sorry. And then they get even
So
angrier at me.
flame wars is
and
a variety of bromance and sexual sublimation.
Is it worth
Starts with the
to?
love note, remember?
Is it worth to even engage? That's.
I find it entertaining. And then what
Can I
happens is...
rephrase that question?
This has
Because that
happened,
question is
this has
key.
happened
See, you find it
multiple
entertaining.
times.
It makes me
This has happened
get sick to my
multiple times,
stomach.
is that I will do this, go through
But
this,
her
and
question
then
is
they
key.
will...
You find
Excuse
it
me,
entertaining.
would you let me speak?
Order.
Where's the moderator?
Order in the court.
And they will block me. They responded to me initially, and then I give it back to them a little bit, and they wind up blocking me. I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
They block
They
you?
block me.
I've had that happen.
Damn you! It's like the girlfriend or the boyfriend that breaks up with you first when you went to go break up with them.
I'm like, I win. You block me after
Yeah.
you engage, I win.
But there's
Right.
still the general question of what are you trying to get done with this? And that's why I brought the Post-it notes, because
Right.
a lot of the stuff that we're trying to get done, if you have a feeling about the election, you can do it with a postcard, a Post-it note, a website, a virtual machine server, but get out and do it.
Yeah.
Get together with your friends.
I agree.
Either side, get together with your friends and make it easy and safe to have discourse. And for goodness sake, if someone actually says 2 + 2 = 5, shout them down.
To a degree, because I used to shout them down
Or walk
constantly.
away.
I guess you
Okay.
could provide them with
We
a
were
website.
talking about
So-
this before the show.
Because
Just do
some
no
people are
harm.
closed systems. Walk away from them.
You're right.
If they're a closed system,
Walk
because
away
you're
from
an
the closed
educator.
systems. If they're
Exactly.
open to hearing what the
Exactly.
facts are, by all means, please be responsible and educate them on the issues and the facts.
But wouldn't they just say that you're a closed system?
Not
I
if you
am,
have
I am.
facts. Facts are facts.
You just don't
Facts
do-
of liberal bias.
Do no
Oh
harm.
boy.
Do no harm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do no harm.
And the thing is,
Do
when
no
you get
harm.
face-to-face, people, I mean, this is it's cliche, but people would not behave this way face-to-face that they do on Twitter and on Facebook. So if you do this face-to-face, it's not going to be obnoxious.
gets-
It's not going to be slurs.
No.
It's not going to be
But at
racist.
least, like you said, at least you can actually peek into some people's true characters.
That's true.
And then you can decide whether or not you want to even be friends with them. Friends, I say that loosely, on Facebook or Twitter. We have to wrap this up. So that is it. I want to thank...
Let's go to...
Oh yeah, okay. So go to the break. Take it on back. We're going to have a brief break.
Comment,
please. Thank you so much, Malcolm. Jeez, my co-host apparently today. But please let us know your comments in the section below, and then we'll be right back. That's it for us today on The Point. I want to thank our panelists. Malcolm, thanks for being here. Where can we find more about you besides The Point?
That's about it.
Okay.
But you should tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell Randy Gonzalez about The Point, and that they should watch The Point and encourage them to, because we're trying to build our viewership always. And comment. We want your comments, and we do, well, by we I mean me, we read them. And so we're interested to hear what you think.
Lisa, thank you for being here. Where can we find more information about you and what you're doing?
Well, my next transmedia action is actually an online town hall forum before the election. So talking about integrating technology, we now have the ability to hold forum and to be able to bring people's cameras in, interactive. And so we are going to, see what kind of havoc we can raise.
How can we partake in that? Is there a website that people can go to?
People's Mic, which is with a C, mic.org.
People's Mic with a C.org.
Yeah.
And lastly, but certainly not least, Robert, any plugs?
I understand there's a web page for this. I'll see you there.
No
Well,
post-it.
Where's the post-it?
I took away his post-it.
come on!
Robert is here representing
I've plugged
the
sufficient.
Post-it note company.
I don't have a plug, but I have a shout out for some dear friends. Hello, Dick and Sharon.
Okay. Hello, Dick and Sharon. I also want to give thanks to our Point contributors, Andrew Rouchet of the Personal Democracy Forum. You can check them out at personaldemocracy.com. Also, BJ Mendelsohn, author of Social Media is Bullshit. You can find out more about his book at bjmendelsohn.com. And as always, as Malcolm said, please feel free to leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. And you can follow me at Twitter at Sam Shacher, SCHACHER. And thanks for watching The Point. We'll see you all next time.